Left Wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
The good old United States of America has a long history of intervening in other countries' affairs and conflicts. And there are many reasons why we get involved with these other countries. Sometimes we intervene because of our own interest, and then sometimes we're doing things for democracy or human rights. So, Ace, should we care about what's going on in these other countries, and what are the pros and the cons of U.S. intervention, especially with what's going on right now in Israel and in Ukraine?
Yeah, I mean, we got to care, man. It's a world stage out there. And I think that history shows us what happens when we don't care. That was World War II and World War One. And it got bad. When you let other people kind of do what they want to, especially if they have the power, then just human nature, they take over. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people get killed and a lot of people die. Now, in our current state, especially with nuclear weapons involved and especially being a global economy, it's probably more important that we get involved. America's been known as the police state. It's just what we've been. We've been a superpower, and we've kind of had to get involved with things, for decades. Now, should we get involved with everything? Nah, we probably shouldn't have got involved with the first Iraq war. That was done just for economical reasons. With we can go into the bushes and start talking about that history. But what we got going on now, and I guess the elephant in the room today is going to be the Israeli-Palestine conflict that's been going on for centuries. I guess the best question is, why do we have to get involved with that? Why is that important to us? Well, in a nutshell, just for who we are, if because of how and I don't have time to break down all the political attributes, or maybe a little bit, but all the affiliations. But a lot of us got military-age children, especially sons, that if something pops off, they could be thrown in that conflict. Some of us have sons in the military or relatives in the military.
Yep.
It can change their life dramatically if they have to go over there. Now, we know that America sides with Israel. We know that Iran allegedly funds Hamas, which is a terrorist group that runs out of the Gaza Strip. And I want people to understand that Hamas isn't Palestine. And I think a lot of people get them confused. Hamas is a terrorist group. Palestine is the state they live in. Now think about it like the Taliban in Afghanistan. Like they run things there. They have a big influence, but they're not the country. Right. And unfortunately, the people that live there are they're terrorized by them too. It's like the mafia in the 30s. They run your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Right. They don't own the neighborhood, but they run it and they live there with you and they terrorize you. So that's where they're at. So plain and simple, we back Israel, Iran backs Hamas. We get into kind of some skirmishes or it's Americans over there now that are trying to get out, but some Americans die, especially if we put boots on the ground. Russia's in bed with Iran. This thing gets ugly. If you do your history, go look at World War One, how that started. That started over just minor border skirmishes, in what they call Serbia now. So if that happens, that can affect you directly. Now, just as who we are, and even with black people, it's time to stop ignoring stuff, thinking it's okay. Then wondering why your son's getting called into war, or he's over there serving, and not understanding. End of the day, we tell our sons all the time, "Hey, join the military," but especially if they ain't doing nothing. Join the military and do this. But to understand that you may tell him this, and in 2 years he's boots on the ground in the Gaza Strip. I don't know if you looked at the pictures of the Gaza Strip right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you want your son going house to house over there. So quick rundown. It's an elaborate history. I recommend you to take a look at, to do your research on this one. Take a look and understand where that conflict comes from. We'll touch on it a little bit, but it's a mess, and it can escalate real quick, and that's just part of it. Question was, should we get involved? Yeah, we should. Ukraine, yeah, we should. We should be involved somewhat as a country. Now, do I want my sons fighting over there? No, I'm not talking about that. But if we don't get involved and prevent that, that can happen.
So what does involvement mean then?
I think political sanctions, paying attention, being aware, and doing things. Sometimes you have to fund people, like we have to fund Ukraine to make sure that Russia don't take them over, then step over into Poland. That escalates into violates a NATO treaty, and the next thing you know, we're a full-fledged world war. Now, we've been in the generations that didn't have to go through that, but I guarantee if my grandparents are still alive, I don't think that was a good time. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that. That's why they call them the greatest generation. Like it was body bags coming back, and I'm not talking about the Afghan body bags that you see on the world news. You see 2 or 3. It was people coming back regularly. My uncle and them were the Vietnam era people. That was bad. You know what I'm saying? We haven't had war escalated like that in this country. We've been blessed for a long time not to have that, but it looks like we might be going that direction. Right. So yeah, we have to be involved and expect our political leaders to be somewhat involved and not have an isolationist theory that some people are trying to have right now. Like, no, that's not worry about it. We got problems here. Yeah, we got problems here. But if Russia takes over Ukraine, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, we can
How much of a problem would that really be for us? I mean, I know there's things that will happen. But to be truthful with you, like, okay, so now Belarus could go into Poland right now if they wanted to. They right there. They don't need Russia to be in Ukraine. I mean, what are the true, we talk about, well, we got to do it because we got to stop Russia. We got to stop communism, whatever you want to call it, right? But nobody has never said, like, okay, so what if we don't? Like, what happens if we don't?
Well, what history tells us, and coming out of Putin wants to reunite the Soviet Union. That's his main move, you know what I'm saying? And all the countries that they own, Poland was one of them, you know what I'm saying? So if you go by history, same thing was with Hitler. They let Hitler invade a place. They didn't do nothing about it. Then he invaded another place. They didn't do nothing about it. Next thing you know, he's invading France. He's invading Britain. I think that, I don't know, maybe he takes Ukraine, doesn't do anything. We don't know. But if you go on history, if you go on his acts, he's not going to stop there. Why would he? You know what I'm saying? He hasn't stopped now. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost the fact that if we don't stop him, we don't show him any aggression, then, what makes him not go anywhere else? So, I mean, I can't say that he wouldn't, but what if? And I think the what if is too much to risk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the what if is too much to risk because I still don't know what the what if is. Like, if the what if is like, okay, let's talk about World War II. Like you said, they weren't doing nothing, just kicking back. Then all of a sudden, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. That's why we really jumped all in, right? Because we got attacked. Now, if we're saying that, well, hey, if we let Russia do this, Russia's gonna attack the United States, or then I might see some reason to get involved. I mean, that might not be. It might just be, hey, we got some things that now Russia got some other countries under their belt and they don't do nothing else. I mean, they may not attack us. I think we talk about defending democracy and all this stuff when, to me, there's a whole lot of other places out there that have the same struggle that Ukraine has right now with a dictator or someone else coming into their country, or a warlord or somebody taking over. We don't care about their democracy. We just letting them we just letting things happen over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're picking and choosing, but the same what ifs exist over there, just like they do over here.
Right. Well, I think when you look at foreign affairs, I think that us as U.S. citizens, I don't think some of us understand that, or we're just ignorant to it. Even myself, I was like, so why are foreign affairs so important to us? So to me, I found like 7 things that stood out, like why you need to definitely be involved. First, like you said, Adrian, national security, right? So we're talking about terrorism. You're wondering like why people hate us so much. Well, you might want to look at here, right? Yeah. Our national security problem. Then we also have economic interests, right? So we have our trade, we have economic growth, foreign relations, open up markets, right? That promote investment and ensure access to essential resources. So you got your resources. Then third, diplomacy and peace, right? We always talk about world peace and let's keep everybody happy. Wars over there typically trickle in, right? So we have a war somewhere else that's not in our location, but eventually sometimes it leads to being here in your homeland. Then all of a sudden you have an interest. So, of course, peace is important. Yeah. Our cultural exchange, right? So we all know that diversity is important. We have different nationalities, ethnicities here. So cultural exchange is important in your foreign affairs. Like, nobody's going to come over here looking different, right, if we're not accepted. So on that. global challenges such as climate change. People think climate change is a U.S. problem. It's not a U.S. problem. If our sun blows up, guys, we all die. Okay, don't matter if you're from Iran or, you're Russian or German, we're all going, okay, so those kind of problems we definitely got to look into. So your pandemic that we just had, COVID, it didn't just affect United States, it also affected, other countries, and just those things global in nature. Also our geopolitical influence. So your strong alliances and partnerships, those are important because when somebody tries to attack us, we want somebody to back us as well. And the last one, and the most important one to me, because I think I am a humanitarian, is just the humanitarian and moral consideration that we have. We have people dying over there. And no, they're not our people, but people are getting blown up in a situation that they are not involved in. They don't want, they're just trying to live like me and you. You know what I mean? So we got to look at those. So those are the 7 things to me that are important on why U.S. we have to be important on our foreign affairs.
Yeah, let's hit home a little bit on it too, because there's a myth in this country. I don't know why we do this. Gas prices affected by the president. You get mad at the president.
No.
Every president's affecting it. Like the president's going, you know what, man? Raise his gas price to $4, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like these people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't work like that.
That's affected by the global economy. You're talking about Israel and Palestine. That's right in the middle of the Middle East where we get a lot of our oil from, and Russia has a lot of oil. So what countries usually do in this situation, they affect oil prices one way or the other, embargo, blockade, raising the price of the barrel, whatever. Then that affects your pocketbook. So people go to war, they can't get stuff out like they want to. The price of the oil goes up. Exxon, those are the people that actually control the gas prices. The actual people who sell gas, raise your gas prices, and you complaining, and you then go out and say, hey, this president can't control the gas prices. Well, I mean, that's because of the political nature of the geoeconomics, in the world. So it affects us, in one way or the other. Now, Sean's got a valid point. We got things going on in Africa that America, policy-wise, ignores. Somalia. We can start naming a lot of places that happen that people are doing terrible things because, and what Wanda said, it there's a humanitarian need over there. Right, may not be economic.
Nope,
it's not. And that's a bad call of the government. And I don't disagree with them at all. But when we're talking about why should we get involved, what's going to affect us, we know for a fact what's going on in Ukraine and even what's going on in Israel is going to affect us. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. Now, in my heart of hearts, some of the bad things that are going on, or some of the bad things that went on or are going on in other parts of the world, and not only Africa. You can go to South America. You can go all around the world. Yep. Even in Asia. We do pick and choose who we get involved with, and that's not right either.
It's not, and I understand we can't be everywhere at once, right? And there needs to we need to prioritize your needs and your resources, right? So we can't be everywhere, but we can't always ignore the same place or the same places. You know what I mean? Because if we say that we are the champions of democracy, if we say that we're humanitarian, right, then we need to act that way. And maybe after you prioritize, and maybe when you do prioritize the right way, you'll find that maybe you should be in Somalia, right, versus Ukraine. Or maybe you should be in, I don't know, someplace in Asia. Speaking of Asia, 2 things I did want to bring up was I think there's a lot of good reasons for us. Like you said, a lot of great reasons. You brought up those 7 reasons. I mean, they're hard to argue. A lot of great reasons to go and help out other countries. But we've done that and we've kicked ourselves in the ass a few times too. You brought up Iraq.
Yeah.
We went over there. Afghanistan. I mean, wasn't it Saudis that did 9/11?
Yeah, pretty much.
And we over here doing all this stuff. And guess how we are with Saudi? We giving them dap. We hugging them and loving them.
What do you think the Bushes are?
Because resources. Because they have things that we need. So we just let these fools do that. We said, we're going to attack Iraq. Yeah. Because they got weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't have. Let me go further back.
That's what they had.
Yeah, they had a pipeline.
We took that. You know what I'm saying?
Then you go back further. Vietnam.
Yeah.
We got to stop communism. We got to go over here and make sure the Russians don't take over the Southeast Asia.
The domino theory.
Yeah. And same thing. And that makes me think about Ukraine. Because we did kind of like the same thing. They were like, well, the Soviets were going to support Vietnam or Viet Cong or whatever. And they was going to go over there. And then we said, oh, we can't have that. We got to go over there and do something. Fighting for years, just death. Death and nothing else. We lost that war, what many people say. So, I mean, we also have to really think strategically about what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. We can't, like, this thing happened with Israel and we just jumped. We didn't even take the time to strategize, nothing. We just like, we're going to send the ship over. We're going to send money. We're going to do this. Are we jumping too deep in? Should we take a step back and determine, like, what's the right steps? I don't know.
I mean, and the Republicans do have a point when they come to the fiscal part of financing the war, not knocking it. Yeah. I'm not saying we don't support it, but we might have to look at what we're doing. Definitely in that, fiscally, I don't think we stop supporting them, but yeah, there has to be some controls put on it. Definitely. Yeah. It's a hard one, man, because if you just look at history and in a lot of those wars, even with the Vietnam situation, Desert Storm, you just want to name a lot of these wars that we had and we fought weren't for national security. It was like you said, it was like democracy or whatever, and we were fighting and a lot of people died in them because we got too deep into it and just started getting a big casualty count. Afghanistan was a big mess that we did, after 9/11. We kind of reacted on 9/11. We just got bombed and we got pissed off and we just started going out and trying to find out who we're attacking. But to be honest with you, we got attacked by a terrorist group. We didn't get attacked by a country. We just went for the countries that were harboring those terrorists and went over them. That's kind of the Hamas situation right now. Even though we know they hang out, they from the Gaza Strip and that's what they're all about. The Palestinians are going to pay for it now. Why? Because this terrorist group can mingle in with the population. And how do you get at them? Now they're going to start going door to door with them. And they're basically telling them, get out the way because we're going to assume whoever's still there is Hamas. You know what I'm saying? Basically. So, I mean, it's a mess. And unfortunately, modern wars like that, countries not getting attacked by other countries now, not that much other than, Russia taking over. But a lot of these wars are getting started because there's a faction or a terrorist group that does something horrific. And now you have to go into the country where they're harbored out of and try to find them. And that becomes a big mess.
Right. And I think the United States looks at humanitarianism. I think it's on the lowest end, so they look at national security first and probably your economic interest in the money. And then your humanitarianism is like, yeah, we'll deal with that when we can get to it. But if it's not impacting us as far as financially, I don't think we have an interest. Or once again, when it comes to terrorism, I think that's the number one hotspot. When they see some type of terroristic group, they really want to annihilate that just because they know how worldwide, what kind of problems they can cause. Yeah. That's what I think is the concern. But I don't know how deep you're supposed to go in there, and how long you stay to eradicate that. But if you don't eradicate it, what is your end result?
Well, that's the purpose of terrorism, is to get you caught up into something that you're involved with to the point where the population gets frustrated with you politically to make change. Nobody's trying to line up tank for tank with the United States. They're not trying to do that. And they don't want to see. They don't want to go. They're not like Japan and Germany back in the day. They don't want to go aircraft carrier to aircraft carrier. You know what I'm saying? They know they can't win that fight. So now it's about doing things to get us involved in a war and to get us kind of crippled down with it to politically we get beat up at home. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say when you start looking at how our elections are handled now, some of the misinformation's coming on. That's the new war now.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's how they attack us now. They're not going to bomb Pearl Harbor or do anything like that. It's going to be maybe 9/11 or even when they bombed the USS Cole. They're going to just have certain targets they're going to hit that's going to get us involved to where we have to now react. And it's kind of like they did Israel right now. We're going to go in and we're going to attack, their version of Lollapalooza and take hostages. Because now it's going to make them have to react. They're going to react conventionally, right? So they're gonna now start bombing buildings and military targets or whatever. And now they're killing civilians. So now you got Israel doing things. You know, Hamas did something horrific. Now Israel's doing something horrific. You know what I'm saying? And now it's being judged. You know, from the world. And you got certain people saying certain things, and then even America, we got some polarization here. So it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that impacts your cultural exchange.
Yeah.
That big time. Because we have people who live here who are Israelites. You have Palestinians.
Yeah.
You have Jewish people. And I think sometimes when people see what's on the news and they form their own biases, you know what I mean? Like, well, then you're this, and so now we're against. And that's the only thing I'm really worried about. Which is a big concern.
That's like I said, part of the attack on us. I mean, you have people that sent their sons to Israel that serve in in IDF in the army.
Right.
You know, you got people that were there just kicking it that weekend that were just got family there. You know, and so it starts getting personal. But you think Hamas didn't know that? You know what I'm saying? That now we got American hostages. We're gonna get America involved. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and with that being said, that also throws complications with the surrounding countries over there, like Egypt and Sudan and Jordan, and of course Iran and Iraq, but definitely Iran. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying this could be a powder keg that we're looking up a year from now and we in full-fledged war.
Yeah.
Right.
The last element I want to kind of discuss real quick is like the debt. So Peter just commented, he said that the UK as a nation has just paid off their debt from World War II.
World War II.
So think about the debt that the United States is in. We keep talking about how we keep raising the debt limit. We keep raising the debt, and we're in debt. We are spreading ourselves thin. I talked about being strategic about where we go and when we go. We also need to be taking into consideration how much we're spending, because like you said, we just up and just sent a whole cruise ship and Iron Dome and all kind of stuff out there to Israel because of what happened. Okay, we want to help Israel, they're our friends, but we spend a lot of money. That's just like you and your home, right? Something happens. Spurs win the chip. If you ain't got the money for a new jersey, you just gonna wear the jersey you got. Okay, you might not be able to just run up and spend money all the time when you're looking at your account if your account ain't where it need to be. You know what I'm saying? And our account ain't where it need to be.
Well, America's running out the speedy cash. That's what they doing.
It's called speedy cash.
They getting that signature loan, dog. And they keep going back and getting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, speedy cash ain't turned them down yet. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Like, sooner or later, speedy cash be like, look, man, your bank account ain't even open no
They gonna
more,
be like,
bro.
bruh.
Sponsored, man, you can't. But not America, dog. They just going out.
We ain't never gonna pay our debt.
They got all kinds of jerseys. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hey, Peter, at least y'all paid your debt. It might be 80 years later,
But hey, we're not even
we ain't
trying to
paying no
dent.
debt. America
We're
ain't
not
doing
even
that,
giving a
dog.
dollar.
And that's what killed me about the political system. The Democrats get up and talk about how spending is out. It's only one president that made a dent in the dang that I know of recently that made a dent in the dang debt, and that was Clinton. He was doing some positive things, but everybody else just going there and they throw their little money on it or whatever. So, I mean, and that's not and the funny thing is, and that's why, when you start talking politics, you got to get out of the rhetoric, They'll get up and say, hey, well, they spent so much and y'all all spent so much. What you talking about?
Everybody. Everybody's guilty.
That don't fall on the Republicans or the Democrats.
They're all guilty.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, one dude kind of started doing it, and then the next dude came in and I forget that, So, it's the debt is crazy, real crazy. So.